Hi guys, I'm just getting ready for the live. Giving a couple of moments for people to join. Today I'm going to be making a £28.50 games console. I'm going to be using the Raspberry Pi 3, which you can see here. The Raspberry Pi 3 is a single board computer. It runs Linux, and basically we're going to make a retro console using this, and it will also allow us to stream games. So I'll begin when we've got a few people in the chat room. So please say hi, and we'll start moving on. As you can see, this is the Raspberry Pi 3 I will be using. I hope everyone's having a great Christmas Eve. As I say, this is the pre-live. I'm waiting for a few people to enter the room before I begin. Basically, I will be making a Raspberry Pi game console. I have printed out a 3D case ready for use. As you can see, I've called it the Pi Box Pro. This is a fast print. This is a prototype. In fact, this is the second prototype, because the first prototype, all the letters basically fell out. As you can probably see here, if I hold that up a little bit closer, you'll see that all the letters basically came out of the box. So that prompted me to a second print, where the print is a little bit messy. It's not the perfect one, but it did print in about an hour and a half, so it was at least efficient. As you can see, we have Pi embossed into the box there. Again, this is a fast print, that's why the bottom is a bit nasty. But you can see the general design principle. We also have this white top with a stylish air vent. This doesn't mean anything, it's just a shape I came up with, again, as a prototype. So I'll be applying this case, installing this Raspberry Pi, and we'll basically be trying to add it onto this SD card. And we'll start adding some games and things to it. So I'm going to try and let the room get to about 5 or 6 people, if that's possible. Please share the live. Get your friends in here. I'll be very grateful. Please show your appreciation by hitting the like button. Just tapping the screen, send those hearts. Help push my live up the stream. So we've got 6 people in here now. We're up to 7, so I'll begin with that. My streams don't usually get many more than 10. Thank you for the likes, I appreciate it. It's your support that allows me to make this content, so please and thank you. So anyway, we'll start over again, and I'll do a full explanation of what the goal is here. Basically, I'm making a micro console. Right now, these Raspberry Pi 3A Plus boards are available to purchase on Pi-Moroni. I'm going to double check what I say by quickly opening up a web browser and trying rpi locate. So rpi locate will allow us to find out where you can buy these Raspberry Pis if you want to engage in this project yourself. As you can see, they are currently selling on Pi-Moroni for the grand old price of £28.50. Now, you don't need this case at all. All you will need is a power supply and an SD card, and you can achieve the same results I have here. I just wanted to make a Pi box, so as you can see from this embossed logo, this is a very rough, quick print, but it says Pi Box Pro. The eventual idea will be to have this illuminated so it looks a little bit nicer, and of course a nicer print with this embossed on the side. But this printed in about an hour and a half because I put it on fast print, which is why it's a little bit rough. Yeah, this was modelled in Fusion 360. And as you can see, the boards again cost £28.50. You can currently buy them. Don't expect stocks to last for very long. They tend to be bought out very quickly. In fact, the guys I bought it from have already sold out. I bought it from Rapid Online. So yeah, let's get a move on. I'm going to start by test fitting the Raspberry Pi, which I haven't actually done yet. It's a little bit risky to do on live. A little bit of dust in there. So this will just fit directly in there. I've modelled it so we have the 3 ports here, and it should fit the micro USB, which is power, HDMI, and audio out. And of course, we got a side USB here. So this is USB 2.0, which you can plug your gamepads in, or a USB hub, etc. One of the things, of course, I'm going to ignore the GPIO header for that because it's not really an electronics project. It's designed specifically to be a media box or a games console. So a little bit of tack on there, I'll peel off. So in theory, this board should fit in. So without further ado, let's see if I've actually got it right. So you'll notice that I cut away the side here for the USB plug. That's because it juts out from the board quite significantly, so I wanted to add enough space for it to go into. Now I will say, oh, that actually fitted better than I thought it would. There we go. So that fits snugly into the box. There's very little movement, even when it's not screwed in. And the top will go on like this. So we've got a nice, neat little box. We have the ports available. I do have some screw holes so I can fasten it down. Now I did actually make another prototype before this one, as you can see. I discovered that this bar was getting in the way. So if I try and remove this one, there we go. You'll notice that when I try to insert it into this case, even at an angle, that USB port points out so much that it's just beyond the brim of the case. And while I could probably bend it to get it in there, I'm not getting it out again once I do. So I went back and I redesigned it just a little bit, gave it a nice little bit of a curve just for a bit of style. And now, of course, it will pop in. If anyone wants the 3D print file for this project, please let me know in the comments. If I get enough interest, then you can download and print it yourself. Oh, so Pi now LOL. Don't know what that means, but I'm glad someone's commenting. But yes, there is Pis available if someone wants to buy them. They are the 0.5 meg quad-core versions. So this lid will go on top just like that. Now I did 3D design a hole for the screws, but they kind of got closed up in the fast print method I picked. So I'm going to Dremel that out. This is my little drill. I was watching a Gamer Eyeliner, thought this was part 2. Nope, not Gamer Eyeliner. Okay. So we've got a couple of little holes there. What's happening right now? Right now I am building a £28 games console. It'll be a retro games console, and I will be using a Raspberry Pi to do it. I have a case and a top. Right now I'm just dremeling out the case screws because they didn't quite make it through the print process. Just like that. There we go. So now we've got some holes we can actually put our screws in. So you see the little holes I've made there, and hopefully they will be aligned up to the ones I drilled into the case. They look okay. So I'm just going to get the Pi in there. So again, Raspberry Pi 3, 512 meg of RAM. Do you know for $7.99 you can have an Xbox, you can run a Retro Arch entirely on the system if you have an Xbox One? Do you know for $7.99 if you have an Xbox One you can run Arch entirely on the system? Yes, I did know that. You go into developer mode. So you're basically paying for developer mode so you can install your own software. So we'll align that in here. It clicks down like that. We've got some holes in the base of the case where the screws will go in, and it should be nicely fastened. I'll get my little kit of screws and see if I can get this screwed in. I believe someone just sent me a gift, so thank you very much. No, someone followed me, that's right. Thank you for following me, I appreciate it. So I'm going to taper these screw holes before I risk stabbing through the Pi. So I use a fast print on this as a prototype, so the tolerances are a little bit out. I'll just Dremel that out a little bit. How would you turn that into a retro gaming system? I will show you, and I'll show you what I do on my laptop to get it installed. Let's see if the screws go in now. Put a voice to a face. Great to put a voice to the face. Yes, not many people see my face on this channel. That's better. So that's now threading in as I helped. So I will screw that all the way in. I'm not sure that screw's long enough. I will need a longer screw. So I'm going to grab some longer ones. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. It's better if you interact. It also makes the live more popular when you do. So I'm just selecting a longer screw. This should also act as some feet. I'm not going to screw it all the way in now because I will actually need to put it in at an angle later on. Thank you, Vinny, for the gifts. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the Santa elves. I hope everyone's having a great Christmas Eve. So I'll get some more screws in there. Did I get that one too long? That's a longer one. I want a shorter one. That's another longer one. I must have mixed some in there. Your opinion on automating stuff in your house. What's better and easier to use, Arduino or Pi? Doesn't really matter. Pi has more processing, though you do have some Arduino alternatives with double the speed of an RP2040. But most of the Arduino stuff tends to be about the 16 megahertz range. whereas the RP2040 processor is, I think, is 133 hertz on a dual-core processor. So it does have more headroom in processing to play with, and it's pretty low power as well. For my home automation, I'm pretty lazy at the moment. I'm just using Alexa's, but I am looking at making my own IoT stuff with Raspberry Pi Picos. I have a bunch of them, so that will be a project going forward. Right, so we're going to fit now this Raspberry Pi board, and now I can move these threads up. Keep it nice and secure in there. So you might notice that I've got kind of a weird W shape on the Raspberry Pi. The reason for that is ventilation, basically. I'm not going to be putting a fan in here or anything. I want to run this at stock speeds because right now Raspberry Pis are rather hard to come by. What phone is that? I am using a Samsung S21. I got it second hand off, I think it was giffgaff, for £400. And so last generation phone at half price. That seems pretty secure in there. So screw this down as well. It's something I only just started doing. Previously I would just buy it on contract, pay for 2 years. But this way I can kind of get last generation's phone, which is nearly as good as current generation. Save myself a bunch of money, but keep upgrading every year rather than having a 2-year cycle. That way I can pass my previously purchased phones down the family tree, and anyone who needs a phone will basically just come to me and grab one. And that way I'm also recycling rather than just throwing away electronics. I could put a little bolt on there, but to be honest, just that configuration has it pretty firmly in there. What cooling solution would you recommend for permanent play? Honestly, just stick a heatsink on it. If you're not overclocking it, there's really no reason to put any kind of cooling solution on a Raspberry Pi other than maybe a £1 heatsink. Just make sure it's got some airflow. You'll notice that in this particular case, I've got airflow on the bottom, I've got airflow on the top, it's got airflow from the sides as well, and a gentle breeze will keep this going, to be honest. So thermal epoxy or thermal pads? Depends. Thermal pads are less conductive than epoxy, so epoxy is fine if you've got some. But again, unless you're overclocking something, I wouldn't worry too much about it. The Raspberry Pi doesn't really put out that much heat in comparison to other platforms. Again, unless you're purposely overclocking it. And again, I will not overclock a Raspberry Pi at the moment because they're quite hard to get hold of. So I assume that when I buy one, it's got to last me at least a couple of years. And given how I use them in electronics, they tend to get a bit bashed up. That needs to be dribbled out a bit further. What programming languages do you know, and what's the most efficient for what you do in general? I'm mostly a web developer, so I am a JavaScript man by trade. JavaScript, HTML, Bootstrap, React, all those kinds of frameworks. I do use C++. I know a bit of Kotlin, a little bit of Swift, just enough to do basic applications. But yeah, web languages are my primary trade, mostly because I have a lot of customers who come to me asking for multi-platform software, and it's just easier to write hybrid applications and run it through a borderless browser rather than writing everything natively. Have you ever used Node-RED for Raspberry Pi? I've never done any Node stuff with Raspberry Pis, simply because I can't buy enough of them. So there won't be any node processing for a while. One day when the shortage is up, I will probably grab some cheap zeros or something. That one needs dremeling out again. It's kind of going in. I need to make these walls thicker on the next one. It's having trouble taking the threads. That's kind of the point of this. That is basically the point of this prototyping business, is to assemble it with my own hands, work out exactly what's wrong with it, go through a few generations of it. That's going in now. No, it wasn't. No, didn't have it lined up properly. Let's try that again. And by the time I give away the files for people, it will be in a pretty decent state to do things with. I experiment with it so you don't have to, basically. It's not biting at all. Yeah, I need to make the walls of this case a bit thicker. Right. Plan B is a little bit of hot glue, just to hold it down temporarily. They have not stopped manufacturing. There is a supply shortage and there's chain problems, but they haven't stopped manufacturing entirely. What they seem to do is slowly build up a stock reserve and then release them in bulk. So for Christmas, for example, yeah, they just pushed 100,000 into the market, which is why I'm playing with this Raspberry Pi 3A Plus right now. Yes, it comes in waves. Yeah, it's not taking that screw at all. So I need to make these cases about 2 millimeters thicker. And as it is quite close in tolerance to these, I can afford to do so. So that's something worth noting. I will add that in the next generation of my design. In the meantime, it's hot glue gun time. So I'll just plug this in and let it warm up a bit. And hot glue is good because I can just pry it apart afterwards. It won't be too permanent. The Orange Pi, I've got my eye on the Orange Pi 800 specifically. It looks like a really good platform, but I haven't actually used it in person. Which emulator am I using? I will be using the RetroPie to begin with, simply because it's easier for beginnings. I could sleep to a 3D printer. I often do. I tend to leave my 3D printer running overnight. But I have to admit, there's not too much to sleep to with this one. It's so quiet that I just hear a very gentle motion in the distance rather than a lot of noise. But yes, Orange Pi, they are available. You can also get things like Pine 64. I want to get my hands on. I would like to get my hands on Le Potato. Odroid as well. There's a few of them. So an instead of an yeah, it's like, well, it's more like an to be honest. And you can hear it in the background. Right now, my laptop is less than 30 centimeters from my 3D printing, and as you can hear, it's not massively overpowering. Banana Pi, yes, I've seen the Banana Pies. I'd like to get my hands on those as well. I believe there's even a custard pie, but I haven't seen that yet. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Wait for my... I could feel it getting warmer. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the tolerance of this case on the inside. It fits in there quite snugly. The screw holes are properly aligned, so I was able to hold it in place just by driving some threads in through the bottom. As you can see, it's upside down and it's perfectly fixed. What do you use Docker for? Do you use Docker? If so, what for? I occasionally use Docker. It tends to be for cloud IDE systems, but I haven't used it in a while. A little bit of glue there, a little bit of glue there, and we'll get this on top. That's when you get the right way round. There we go. There we go. Oh, no, that came off. I did not do that very well because I flipped over in the top. So one side of the top has a nicer pattern to it than the other side. Otherwise, it wouldn't really matter. Let's try that again. Never give me glue. I always make a horrible mess. Right, let's try that again. Let's peel the old stuff off. But yeah, Docker is usually for virtualizing stuff. It's not really virtualization, but you know what I mean. It's for sandboxing, I suppose, is the best way of putting it. Let's get that down there properly. The air is still in my room. My speakers are making a draft. His speakers are generating wind. There we go. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's on there. I don't want it too on there because I will be separating it later on. But we now have a console assembled, as you can see. So this is an air vent. I just thought I'd put a happy little design on it. We've got air vents on the bottom. It's supposed to say Pi. Here we have Pi Box Pro rather than Xbox. So I thought I'd sort of merge PlayStation Pro and the idea of an Xbox Pro, so it became Pi Box Pro. That was my basic thinking of this. Use screw on the glue. Yeah, I'll give that a go. Might work now that I've filled it in a bit. I need to buy some more short thread 2 M2 screws because I've pretty much run out of these now. Biggest problem with these screws is they're not pointy, so they might not bite. There we go. That's not too bad actually. That's drilling down. Oh yeah, the glue in the screw worked. I'll just stick the one in there. That'll hold it nice and firmly. Is the other one aligned with the hole? I'll see if I can get another one in there. I think this might be my last, not smallest, but second to smallest thread. This will be 6mm. Yes, I 3D printed the case. I designed it earlier. I actually put the live where I designed it in real time up on my YouTube channel. So if you guys ever want to check that out, you can. I think that one may have slipped, but yeah, it looks convincing enough. So there you go. There's my Pi Box Pro, my tiny, tiny games console. Now what I've got to do is get some software on there. So we've got an SD card and I've got a laptop. So I'm going to flash this with RetroPie. Yep, got LiPo. In fact, for my other project, I have the LiPo Amiga Pro, which you'll see over here. As you can see, I have a LiPo Amiga Pro here, which will power a Raspberry Pi Zero. This is not strong enough to power the Raspberry Pi 3, however, as that beast takes quite a lot of memory. This is a 1,200 milliamp hour battery. I managed to have this powering a Raspberry Pi Zero for 8 hours. RetroPie is an OS, yes. Let's have a look. Are you building the equivalent of the PS4 for £28? I don't think it will be the equivalent of a PS4, but it's probably not far off. I don't know. I think was the PS4 a cell processor, or was that when they started using x86? I can't remember. PS4 specs. So tech specs for the PS4. Yeah, I think this was Jaguar based. So this would have been an x86 processor. No, this is an 8-core AMD processor, so this is significantly slower. I think I would put this about Dreamcast level. Now, remember, for emulation, you're putting a lot of power into interpretation and compiling. I don't know why I turned off my phone then. I was reading the chat of it. Yes, emulation station, basically. So, SD card goes there. I'll put the SD card in there. Did I get it the right round? Yeah. And it's detected. So now I'm going to run Raspberry Pi Imager. Come on, there we go. And for operating system, you literally just go into, where is it? Emulation and Game OS. No, I've never used Actuate Console. The other one I want to try on this is Batamarami, or however you pronounce it, I'm not sure. But for now, I'm just going to go with the classic RetroPie, which is fairly compatible. As you can see, you've got a list of possible Raspberry Pis here. I'm going to select Raspberry Pi 2 and 3. And select my storage. Add that. And then write. Yes, I wish to continue. And that will then download and write the operating system to the SD card, ready to use. That's the one. Bato Car. I don't even know how you pronounce it. I've never heard anyone say it out loud, so I tend to try and read it phonetically. No, I mean the Xbox or whatever. I just can't sleep. I don't have an Xbox console. Oh yeah, I forgot. You don't need Rufus and an ISO for the Raspberry Pi. Nope, you just need the Raspberry Pi flasher, as you can see happening in real time on screen. Now, the bit where this live will get very interesting is when I attempt to hook this up to my HDMI source and then add it to the stream. It's either going to crash the software or it's going to work. Spell what the hell phone? No. Is it zero delay for controller response? Yes. I mean, it's directly in there, so there shouldn't be any delay on the Xbox. Well, I say I'm using an Xbox controller here, or I will be. This is actually a Power A controller, but I've used this setup many times and I've never noticed any lag. But the idea is that I will be recording everything as I'm playing. I should be live streaming it as well, and if all goes well, then you should see me playing with this and playing a game or something. You can't use Raspberry Pi because my dad's using it as a VPN. yeah, sorry about that. But you can buy Raspberry Pis at the moment, So if you want to buy the one I've put in this box, which is the Raspberry Pi 3A Plus, as you can see here, then there you can pick them up for 28 quid. As you can see, this is rpilocator.com. This will let you find stock. And let's face it, we've all wasted more than £28 on a takeaway meal, so it's not a bad price. And one of the other things I'll be using this for, hopefully, is as a Steam Link. So I can move this around the house, sit in front of the TV, play some Steam games directly on my TV, rather than having to have the laptop set up in front of me. My phone is being done. Let me switch to the laptop and do a restart on my phone. Sure, no problem. Thank you for joining again. So we're currently at 58% on the right. This is not the world's fastest SD card, and it's not the fastest SD card reader either. So that's not too bad. So yeah, as you can see, we have this Raspberry Pi. It's got a Pi ventilation in the bottom. It's got access to the SD card for easy removal. It's all screwed in place. We got Pi Box Pro as the amusing branding I came up with. We got some more ventilation up top here. If anyone wants the files to 3D print, just send me a message and I'll send you a link back. It's got a single USB 2.0 port there, which is fine for plugging my controller in. And yeah, so it's accessible to all the ports, with the possible exception. Actually, I'm now wondering if that port is a bit low. So I'm just going to test fit a small SD card. Not SD card, micro SD connector. Where did I put it? There it is. I want to make sure there's enough clearance, because some of these are a bit boxy. I think that's in. Yep, that's in. Yep, there's enough clearance. That's good. I do need to lower the clearance on that, though, because it doesn't have enough below. I could lift the board if I needed to. But again, this is why this is a first generation test fit. Well, technically it's a second one. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. But again, guys, you don't need this case. This is just the case I came up with. It will just happily sit on the TV or something, bare board, and work just fine. Right, you can now remove your SD card from the reader. Exciting. Right, so that just comes out then, and we pop it directly in. And now we have our game system loaded. So now what we need to do is feed in some power. Yes, I'm making a games console. I am making a Raspberry Pi based retro games console with the option of Steam Link streaming. So I need to get this in here. Right, no, I need to get the HDMI in there first, and I need to plug in my my peripherals. So we'll start with the game controller. This is just a box standard Xbox compatible game controller. This is Xbox One compatible. I believe it will also support 360 and Xbox Series X controllers. So that just goes in like that. There you go. I should probably put some bolts on top of this as well, because it does lift when you try to insert things. HDMI is next. This will be the interesting one. Will my capture card actually detect it and use it? Yes, we got it plugged in there. Now, one of the things I love about this Raspberry Pi 3 A Plus board is it's got a full-size HDMI port. I hate the tiny ones they put on these things. Does the OS come with games, or you've got to download them from a website? It comes with some games pre-installed. But it will emulate basically anything from an SNES all the way up to a Dreamcast. You'll be pushing it with N64. That tends to be quite difficult for people to do. Right, that's in there. It appears to be reading the card. My monitor needs to be on. Is it on? It hasn't triggered my HDMI capture box. How many HDMIs do you need then? You have to download the ROMs for other games. You can do. It does come with some samples. I'm going to leave that running for 5 minutes rather than panicking. Let me check that that's actually on. That's off. That's on. Okay. I'm just going to go through the games that come with the console for now. And I'm going to try and get Steam Link working. And that's my basic goals for the project this evening. I will do more detailed tutorials in a more organised way and upload those to my YouTube channel. Right, so we're not getting any lights out of it. I'm going to leave it for 3 minutes though, because sometimes it resizes the card. But yesterday I did have some minor problems with an SD card not working, so I'm going to give this a few moments again, see if it works. And it's got the green indicator light on. So what I do need to do is add in a couple of holes here so you can see the indicator lights. That's worth finding out. It seems like the green LED is just on constantly. It is in there firmly. I'm going to see if I can find my other board, which had an SD card I did verify was working. So I'll be back in 1 moment. Okay, that's not where I thought it would be. So, did I leave it in this area? I might well have done. I bought 2 of these because I had a second project going. Have you ever tried to troubleshoot a Pi and realise you had write protection on? No, I haven't come across that one. Where is my other one? Oh, where's my camera flashing? Stupid thing. I'll try cycling my camera on and off. And it seems to stop flashing now. Interesting. Right, I'll try reflashing it again because it's not loading up at all. Actually, what I will do is plug it directly into my monitor and make sure it's not my capture card that's causing issues. Let's see if that makes a difference. SES only Doom. You can play Doom on SNES. Do you think you have the overall basher to play PC games or install emulator? Sorry. Let's try turning this off and on again. Yeah, that little light is just on entirely. So this is where we do basic troubleshooting. We unplug everything to start with. I'm going to remove this SD card. Put it back in so it's definitely inserted. Then I'm just going to attach HDMI. And then power and see if it boots off that. Yeah, so when I initially put that card in, it was flashing and doing activity. Now it doesn't seem to be doing so. So that's different the second time I plugged it in, which means it's done something to the SD card. So I'm going to try reflashing it because I'm not sure where my other SD cards have gone. Do I have one in this board? Oh, there's one in this board. So I'll try this one. So let's try flashing this one. We'll try a different SD card. Actually, does this one already have one on there? Because if it already has Raspberry Pi on there, then I can at least test that the board is working. Right, so it's flashing. Ah, there we go. So we've got life here. So maybe it's just that SD card that's the issue. Resizing boot system. So this is a newly flashed one then. That's interesting. But that's definitely loading. So I'll let that boot up. And then I will unplug it and see if it works through my HDMI capture. See some geezer, check out component needs replacing by checking the amps or something. You're kind of screwed unless you already know what you're doing. Put rice and pay. Someone dropped their phone, did they? Yeah. Yeah, rice and pray is about the best thing you can do under those circumstances. So it's loading up the desktop, so that's good. I have a little power warning symbol that says it's not getting enough juice, which is weird because this is a 2 amp power supply and it only takes 1.5 amps. but it does seem to be working regardless. I'm going to try plugging in the game controller, see if that makes it stop working. No, that seems to be fine. And it's loading up the Raspberry Pi, so that's good. It's got Get Started coming on. Yep, so that monitor is definitely working. So I'm going to try it now and flash this with RetroPie. Interesting. Anyway, we'll turn that off. Get that unplugged. Put it back in here. And I need to swap over this connector. Okay. Now I'm going to boot it up once just to make sure the HDMI capture device works. Stick this in here. So it is flashing, but it doesn't seem to be doing much. It's not triggering my capture device. That's not good. All right, let's try swapping the inputs. Power is on, isn't it? Ah. Helps me turn the monitor on. Pro tip. Ah, there we go. So now I should be able to capture the boot up procedure for you, which I'm not going to set up immediately. I want to start the card first. I don't want a screen reader, thank you very much. So plug that in there. I'll try flashing that card. Thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Right, so I'm now running that again. I use the... Now, what do you want? Do you want a big build area? This is a question to the 3D printer. Do you want ease of use but a smaller build area? Or do you want something like really cheap? Just so you know, the printer I settled on was my mind has gone blank. Something Forge, Flash Forge. It's the Flash Forge Adventurer 3. There is an Adventurer 4 out now, a newer model. I find it's actually really reliable. I used it to make these prints. And the great thing is you don't actually need to do bed leveling, which is what killed me on my first printer, is just trying to get the bed level manually. It turned out in the end to be not really worth my time. And I think a lot of 3D printers basically do the same thing. All the Ender Pros are pretty good. Ender 3 has a good one, but it's one of those ones where you have to level the bed yourself, so you may have some problems with that. Has anyone done anything with RC, like drones in helis or cars? Not personally, no. Where's my... Where did I put my controller? I had that literally in my hand 2 seconds ago. I really do have an amazing ability to put things down and go, where on earth did I put that? Ah, there it is. Fell on the floor, that's why I can't find it. Leveling the bed is so you get an even print all across the surface. If it's not level, then the nozzle will end up lifting off the bed, and then your print won't lay properly. So you'll end up with a lot of flaws. And basically, the more level the bed, the better the print you get. But you've got to leave enough space between the nozzle and the bed as well. Otherwise, it will just won't be able to squirt out the plastic. As I say, it's in theory it's not so bad to do. You get a piece of card, you lower it down, or you raise the bed by some wheels. Once the nozzle rubs on the card a little bit, then you've got a pretty good fit. But I found that my bed kept unleveling itself, so I had to do this all the time. And in the end, I just went, sod it. I bought a Flash Forge. It has a calibrate once, print forever feature, and I haven't looked back since. Now it's just a matter of I sit down, I design it, I send it over to the printer, and it just does the job. Any problems I've had with it have been down to my fault rather than an issue with the printer itself. Things like my printer was clicking. It was like going and skipping steps. That was because I didn't have the nozzle hot enough, so it wasn't able to heat up the PLA fast enough to actually get it onto the board. So once I adjusted the temperature, it was back to being fine. And the only reason I got caught out on that is because in summer, when I was using it, I would set it to 210, 230 degrees. But it's winter, so it's cooler. So I had to compensate for the weather. Put another 15 degrees on it, worked great. Right, so that's now flashed. So I'm now going to swap the SD cards out. Stick that in there, see if it works. Yeah, we have life. Looks like that SD card is bunk. So I'm just going to try and add the capture. And for that I need to go into this one, and I need to add a source and a camera, and no, don't want that one. There we go. Add source. There we go. We got our RetroPie, which I will put over my existing desktop. And now you guys can see what's going on the Raspberry Pi. But we'll make that a little bit bigger now because we're done with the hardware side. You can see on the screen. Wait, you know what? This is actually loading up really fast. I am so used to the Raspberry Pi Zero that this feels like light speed to me. Right, hold on A. So it's detected my gamepad. So all I've got to do now is follow the on-screen instructions. Up, down, left, right, start, select, A, B, X, Y. I'll move that forward so you can actually see what's going on. Left shoulder, right shoulder, left trigger, right trigger, left thumb, right thumb, analog up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right, and hotkey, and OK. Emulation station crashed. This is if this is the first boot, make sure you are using the correct image for the system. Check your RPi folder permissions running on the Raspberry Pi. Make sure your GPU split is set to high enough. Switch back. Okay. I'll try rebooting it. If this doesn't work, I may try another version of the Raspberry Pi, because there are a few different versions of RetroPie OS. This is my first time using this particular board for this purpose, so I'm not 100% sure which image is best for it. Yeah, PS2 at most. I would say PS1 at most, to be honest. And maybe not even that. But having said that, I've never used this board before, so I'm not 100% sure myself. It will certainly do Genesis, Dreamcast, that kind of stuff. Oh, there we go. So that's working now. So we've got configuration. And we've got some control. We don't currently have Wi-Fi set. Raspberry Pi 3 Plus will be disabled until country. So, do you want to launch Raspberry Pi config now? Yes, I do. Okay. So it's not detecting my networks. It said something about country being set. Oh, that's interesting. Apparently you can now see the character codes that go in from your controller. This will be a reset job. I'm ashamed I called myself a fan of your belittling me. Yeah, someone's using Athos OS. It's a crap OS. You put yourself at risk by using it. No amount of complaining will change that. So this is half the fun of Raspberry Pis. It's because I posted a video about Athos OS, basically saying it felt very dodgy. It was a repurposed version of Windows. It comes from an unreliable source. If he wants to use a hacked version of Windows, more power to him. But I'm not going to sit here and tell him he's not at a massive security risk by doing so. How do you find inspiration for enthusiast projects? I don't know, to be honest. I've got so many ideas in my head. Game projects, making tablets, anything electrical, but basically. The computer is probably going to be toast by next week using that. I don't agree, but it's interesting that we'd use an open source Linux OS and think it's safe. It's well audited. That is the basic thing. Um, they are based on Debian installs. Debian is incredibly well audited. So is Arch. So is Fedora. You have literally thousands of developers crawling all over the genuine open source code. But when you have something like Athos OS, it's not open source code. The scripting part of it is open source. You can analyze that. But they distribute an ISO with Windows files on that ISO that have been heavily altered and compromised. You genuinely cannot risk this being on a live machine where you're going to edit credit card details, where you're going to log into game accounts, where you might access email. It is a massive security risk. And even if the files were absolutely perfect, it disables Defender, it disables updates, you're not getting security fixes. It is a very risky thing to use a compromised version of Windows. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to someone and say it's a good idea to use it. And if someone wants to take offense to the fact that I'm going to say to their face, you should not use this, it is not safe, I'm not going to apologize for it. Because pandering to their emotions does not change the fact they are doing something risky. Right, localization, that's probably what it is, because it was country, wasn't it? Configure language and regional settings. I suspect that's the one I wanted to go for. Oh, geez. Oh, there's a lot of them. You may have felt personally attacked, mate, but I don't attack people. I will just give it to them straightforward. Okay, so English GB is already there. So I'm going to disable that one. It's obviously not this. I have had this error once before, and I'm trying to remember what I did to fix it. Let's just see if I can log in using this. Wrong place, Wi-Fi country. I probably am being stupid right now. Right, focus on what you're doing, Dan. Configure connections as peripherals. No, well, system options is probably where it's located. There we go. There's LAN. Enter SSD, password, splash screen, hostname, audio. Yeah, okay. Try that one. Ah, there we go. Okay, yes, I am being an idiot. Is it going to be GB? GB, there we go. Right, there we go. That will probably help. So I've got to manually enter my SSD, have I? Okay. SSD. SSID, I mean. Let's catch up on my messages. Wi-Fi country, yep. Thank you. You guys go ahead, hacking my tablet. Have some sort of ransomware shoved on it now. It's wallpaper weight, localized country. Do you remember Kuno Kit? I don't remember that. The weird modded Raspberry Pi thingy. No idea, sorry. Have you ever done any work with PSP platforms? No, I've only ever played them. No clue what this is. This is a project to get a £28.50 games console running. It's a retro games console. It's using a Raspberry Pi 3A Plus in there, which costs £28.50. That's where we're getting the price from. And it will basically allow you to play retro games. I'm believing it will support up to about PlayStation 1. But don't quote me on that because I haven't really tested this board massively. Yes, this is what I use one of my Raspberry Pi 3 Plus boards for. I do have another one around somewhere, which I've temporarily misplaced, which I'm famous for doing. And I just tidied up my workspace and I'm still misplacing stuff. It's so frustrating. I need to learn to put it. And the thing is, I only ever lose things when I decide I'm going to put it in a safe spot. And then I immediately forget what that safe spot is because it's not the spot I usually put things in when I'm being thoughtless. When I'm just being thoughtless, I will usually find stuff straight away. Right, so I'm going to hide this for now. And just so you don't see my... Oh, wrong one. Just so you don't see my password details. Which camera is it? Ah, it's the one at the top. There we go. Got there eventually. I'll turn off my desktop as well. Just so you don't see... Actually, I don't think I need to. Quick question. How am I going to type in the SSID? I need a keyboard. I will have to plug in a keyboard. Okay. We're swapping from the gamepad to a keyboard. Yeah, Linus drops things and I lose things. So I am Foreman losing tips. Under voltage detected. Okay. Yeah, it really doesn't like the power supply I got it plugged into. I need to buy another one. So I'm just going to reboot that. I just got a big under voltage message. And it was exactly when I plugged my keyboard in. Any retro games you would recommend for someone who's never played anything other than Morrowind? Yes, all of them. Just have fun. Go nuts. Start with something fun like Mario Brothers. That's a classic that everyone has to play at some point. Maybe try a bit of Donkey Kong if you want to go really back in time. Contra. As you can see, I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s, so I'm just going to list a lot of NES games at you. I would also list a lot of Atari titles at you because I had Atari STs, Atari 400. So Carnival Massacre was one I played a lot as a kid. In fact, it was the Atari 400 that got me into basic programming because I learned at the ripe old age of 6 that I could program the computer to insult my brothers automatically. I didn't have to bother doing it anymore. So I just called them all poo on a loop in different colours. And after that, I just started programming everything I could. Found my keyboard. Okay, that's fine. Up, down, left, right. I just put some random keys in there. I just want keyboard access right now. This is my discovery phase. This is where I do absolutely everything wrong while people scream at me, this is what you should be doing. But that's okay. That's a lot of what computer science is about, is just getting things wrong until you do it enough to get it right. I can actually enable this temporarily. Again, because... 2 months of work for me. The iMac G3s are still £209. Well, they're collector's items now, so I'm surprised they're that cheap. Try rebooting this again. Um, Actually, the other thing I could do is try and flash this with settings already enabled. Though I think last time I did that, it failed. So that's why I'm trying to do it this way. Imagine a Raspberry Pi phone. You don't have to. People have made them. There are absolutely Raspberry Pi phones out there. I'll get you a link. One sec. Yeah. Merry Christmas. I hope you're enjoying your Christmas Eve. Okay, Capsy, thank you for popping by. I hope you have a good sleep. Oh, look, wonderful, talented, smart, cute, and fabulous, and handsome, bearded lad that deserves lots of dots. I assume that's a flat line in hospital. Beep. Excuse my sense of humour. Right. Press and hold a button to configure it. Keyboard. Okay, D up, down, left, right. So that's going to be up, down, left, right. And then up, down, left, right. Enable hotkey. N. Enter. Let's see if it accepts it this time. Thank you for your positive reassurance. But bear in mind, I'm a big old smelly man, so I don't really need it. I'm far too arrogant. Good defense mechanism, though. I saw Pi FM transmitter using pinouts and oscillator with some good filtering. Could be good, yeah. Sending wireless communication. Now, for some reason, this does not like the return keys. So it's accepting all my inputs, but it's not allowing me to proceed any further. I've told people this before. I'm not Hagrid. I'm Hagridor. I am the beauty of Hagrid combined with the brains of Dumbledore. So what to do now? I'm going to try a hub. I'm going to try a USB hub. I'm going to learn from my lesson. I'm not going to just plug it in there because that seems to overpower it. And we'll see if I can get a USB 2 hub working on it. Because right now I need a keyboard and a gamepad. And of course it's only got one. One port on the board. There's probably a smarter way of doing this. I will have to do some proper research into methods, but I quite like the exploratory, just making stuff up as I go along. You certainly don't want me as your teacher, because if I am anything to do with Gandalf, you definitely won't pass. Now that's got to be the nerdiest joke you've ever heard. I have rebooted this thing so many times now. Now, in theory, we should have a Right, so the USB appears to be working. It's certainly lit up, whatever that means. Agridor, yes. Yeah, Thunderbolt symbol literally means not enough power. It's not like in the power supply. It is a 2 amp rated power supply, but for some reason it's not feeding enough power, so it's probably not handshaking well enough. Okay. Right, so we got the gamepad working, which means I can access Raspberry config. Now we're getting somewhere, kinda. Merry Christmas. Now, hopefully, I will also have access to the keyboard, so I can type in my Wi-Fi details, which is all I'm trying to do right now. Right, system options. Yes. Wireless LAN. Yes. Enter SSID. Right. This is where I turn it off here, so you don't all see my private security details. And I'll also turn off my. I don't need to turn that off. I'll just minimize this for now. So now I need this phone to get my Wi-Fi details off. So if I don't respond to, it does have Bluetooth, but of course I don't have a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. I do have a keyboard, but I don't have that, and of course I've got to set the thing up. So I need something I can just plug in there. But yes, RetroPie does have Bluetooth. Right, back in a moment, guys. Well, I'm still here. I just can't see your messages for a moment. I've got to access my secure notes on my phone, which I now realise might be held onto the camera, so I'm not going to do that. Oh dear, oh dear. And right, that's the SSID. Now I need the passphrase. So that's what my secure notes needs to be for. If anyone asks why doesn't he know his own Wi-Fi password, it's because I change it every month, and it's always a combination of random letters and numbers and symbols. Right. Let's see if that did the trick. So I will resume my messages now. But I want your private security details. Well, tough, you can't have them. Dear. Right. Wireless LAN. So how do I connect to this again? So I've done password. No, that's fine. No, don't enable Wi-Fi on that one. That's fine. Oh, I've got to worry about SSH right now. I guess I'll just finish and see if it will work on it. I am absolutely terrified of heights. It is my biggest Achilles heel. It's why I'm not in Africa right now with my wife. Right, so I RetroPie set up. No, you know what? I'm going to pass on some very wise words my father once said to me, and it goes like this: read the bloody screen. So I'm actually going to go to the Wi-Fi section. Oh, they swap the buttons around now. In the Raspberry Pi or RPi config, you have to press B, but in the main menus, you have to press A. So there we go. And connect. Seems to actually be done. So it's got an IP address and everything else, so I can exit that. So that means I should, in theory, have wireless access. Show IP address. Okay, so it's on 76. That's fine. So it's definitely connected to the net. I've successfully connected it to the web. So RetroPie setup. What happens to your Voxel Aquila 3D printer? How can we switch? It was a massive pain in the butt. It would just keep losing its leveling, and I had to fight with leveling all the time. I had so many failed prints, and I just gave up on the thing in the end. So I still got it. It's sitting in the corner collecting dust, but I genuinely don't use it for anything anymore because the flash forward printer I replaced it with is just so much quieter and so much more convenient. Just curious, have you taken a look at the Zimmer server board? No, I have not. RetroPie script pre-made SD cards are available down for free. Pre-made, okay, that's fine. Right, so I just want to do an update. Are you sure you want to update? Yes, I want to update everything. Thank you. Right, we got the latest version. That's good. Oh no, it's still got more stuff to do. Never mind. See, £119 prices me out of it. I'm not saying it's a bad price. I'm not saying it's not a really powerful board. But as a hobbyist and tinkerer, I like to buy lots of boards to experiment with. And when I have to put lots of money into one, I tend to be a lot more hesitant. Would you like to update the underlying OS? Yes. Yeah, we'll update everything. Now, I will say, guys, that I was previously running this on a Raspberry Pi Zero, and it was so slow. This Raspberry Pi 3 A Plus is massively faster. Oh, I haven't enabled it, have I? I need to show you my screen again. Did I turn that back on? No, I did not. How naughty of me. Right, we'll turn that back on. You can actually see what I'm doing on the RetroPie now. I don't actually know. I think no. I believe it's Debian based because it's based on Raspbian. But you're going to find Emulation Station, if I remember correctly, is actually cross-platform. So it's not like one version of Linux. You can actually install Emulation Station on just about any Linux you can think of, regardless of the core. I believe that's right. Don't quote me on it. But right now it is running on Raspbian. You can see on the screen here it's got Raspbian Buster, so you know it's updating a Debian-based version. Good. I'm glad I was being correct. English weather is annoying me right now. Why is that? Because all I can see is black out my window. Reading change logs looks like a pretty standard update procedure, as you can see. Yeah, my brain is getting pretty slow right now. I've done so many lives today, and I think poor Luna has been here for all of them. I admire the dedication. No worries, chatting's the whole point of a live, isn't it? I will not miss one unless I'm on my deathbed. Yeah, I'm not that important. You can go to your deathbed. I'm not saying you should go to your deathbed. I'm just saying um, words make sense. You can figure them out. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. That was a good demonstration of my brain failing me. Apparently he's using Python version 3.7. That's interesting. I actually do read the update list just to see what software's on here. But I tell you what, this is way slower than the Pi Zero. So much. No, I'm going to try that again. This is way faster than the Pi Zero. This would take me an hour to do an update, and I don't think it's going to take anything like as long on this one. But I'm quite happy with my new setup. I'm glad I can now show you the HDMI capture. That's going to be useful for future lives. I wonder how my 3D print is doing. This is one of the other reasons I like my FlashForge printer. I'm just going to disable this one temporarily because it's just showing text. And you should be able to see my desktop. Helps when you right click on the right icon. There we go. So you can see my desktop there. Anytime I want to monitor it, I just go to print, connect machine, click on this arrow, click on the information, and I can just turn on the webcam inside and I can see how my print is doing. So this is the next version of the case that's being printed. It has some it doesn't actually have many alterations. It's just been set to a fine print rather than the fast print. Will not miss one unless I'm on my deathbed. Just laugh so hard, I'm still laughing. Good. I'm glad I entertained you. That's the whole point for me being here. Oh, actually, it's at 92%. I didn't realise I've been on live for that long. So it tells you how long the print took as well. You can even turn the light on and off. So if your room has no lights, you can just turn it on and see what's going on. Yeah, it is getting on a bit late, though, isn't it? It's still on text. It's still doing the big updates. Stay live until 12. Then we'll be high for Christmas morning. Yeah, I'm not going to go till 12. I still need to try and run Steam Link. It's one of my ultimate goals is to see if I can use this as a reliable little Steam Link controller. Okay, we get some more movement now. Swap over the camera again. So here we go. Turn this on. Normally I have multiple monitors, so you wouldn't actually see any of this. But oops, pop my phone off the desk. That's a good one. Right. Good evening, friend. You may have already answered this, but what model 3D printer is that? I am using a Flashforge Adventurer 3, which is actually a slightly older model now. They do have the Adventurer 4 out now. I find it's a pretty reliable printer. The only thing I don't like about it is it's got a side-mounted cartridge holder, which only takes half kilogram reels, and I wish it took a full kilogram reel. But it's not a massive issue. I literally just put a reel or on a tripod next to it, and it just takes it in externally. I love getting add-on from social media and then going to the oldest post and liking it. Okay. I suppose that would be interesting for someone. Why is someone liking that one? I posted it in 2004. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. Hi, I am Arrow. How's it going? So right now, for anyone else who's joined the live, I am making a £28.50 retro games console with Steam Link ability. This is using a Raspberry Pi Model A Plus, which you can currently get via Pi Moroni or the Pi Hut. It gives someone mini heart attacks. Only if you go for the Slender Man games. Rebuilding XPad, updated XPad Linux kernel driver. I mean, who doesn't get excited by this? Oh, I was looking actually at the fours. There's a few extender arm STLs. Oh yes, there are. I did print an extended arm, but it broke within about 3 months, and because of the way it has to be printed standing up, and it runs with the line of the rings, it makes it kind of fragile after a while. My favourite boat type. I don't really have one. So all I ended up doing was taking one of my microphone stands and just hooking reels of PLA on that. Because, who doesn't have random microphone stands hanging around? You like steamboats? Fair enough. Yay! I have successfully updated stuff. So, right, we go to manage packages next. I will go to core packages and I will install all core packages. You have a Sterling. Yeah, Sterling engines are pretty cool. You could print a Luna, a Benchy. No, don't know that one, sorry. I've got the End V32. I'm working on a CL Touch and a Sonic Pad just now. That's pretty cool. I wish I had time to kind of build. Well, it's not just time; it's money. I wouldn't mind taking a 3D printer and adding all the bolt-ons and stuff. but because I get very limited funds, I have to kind of buy an all-in-one solution that's reliable. Which is your preferred distro? FreeBSD, CentOS, or Debian? Debian. I'm a big Debian fan. And I want experimental ones as well. I thought there was an experimental. Might be in the previous screen. Ah, experimental. That's the one I wanted. And so you got a bunch of extra emulators you can install here. I'm looking for Steam. Apply ports. Steam Link, that's the one I want. Install from pre-compiled binary. Are you sure you want to install it? Yes, I am. Installing Steam Link for Raspberry Pi 3 or later. Benchy is a collection of calibration Steambud for... Oh, yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, the little ship you can print out. I tend to go with a calibration cube, or there's one with like lots of little hooks, ramps and overhangs. I can't remember the name of it, but I get it off Thingiverse. Oh yeah, I remember the Cali Cat. I always end up with a lot of drooping on it. Probably means the cooling on my printer isn't quite as good as it could be. I have not dabbled in resin. In fact, I've had a lot of people warn me about resin printing. I know it comes out really smooth and really accurate, but apparently it's messy and curing processes and all that kind of stuff. So I just went with standard PLA printing for now. I will eventually, when I get some money, do some resin prints. But the next upgrade I want, when it comes down in price, is 3D color printing. They got machines now that come with an inkjet cartridge and a neutral coloured PLA, and it will literally lay down the PLA and print colour on it as it goes, so you get full colour PLA models. Yes, I know the quality of resin prints is really good compared to the layered PLA method. Um, but mostly, what I want is resin now is not as toxic. Yeah, one of the things I like about PLA is the most smell you get from it is the smell of molasses. It's just a sweet smell, so that works quite well. I've never purchased a 3D printer due to the time it takes, and I'm impatient. That's fair enough. I prefer the 3D printer because PLA is pretty durable, and if I want to, I can go to PEG, nylon. There's a few different. All I've got to do is buy another nozzle, and it will support other filaments as well. TPG is one I want to try. I've probably got that code wrong, but it's the squishy one basically. Okay, so we should have Steam Link installed now. So I'm going to see what it takes to run that. TPU, that's the one, thank you. Sorry about the power symbol on the screen, guys. It's just not liking my 2 amp power adapter. I don't think it's handshaking properly, so it's not getting the full 1.5 amps it requires. Okay, so how do I get Steam Link working? I installed it, so I kind of expected it just to come up. So I'm going to research for a moment and see what it takes to put Steam Link onto. The annoying thing is, I've done it before. I just did it probably a year ago now, so I've forgotten most of this. Retro Pi Steam Link. I probably even made a tutorial about it. I've probably got a video of me doing it somewhere. But my main machine is out of commission at the moment because I wiped the hard drive to play with some Linux. Steam Link on Raspberry Pi using RetroPie. There we go. That's the one I want. Oh, ETA Prime. Yep, he's good. He is. So I should be seeing ports. I'm not seeing ports. So let's go to RetroPie setup again. Is that the one? Oh, wrong button. I got used to the reverse buttons. Some of the carbon filament is ridiculously strong. I bet it is. I didn't even know they made carbon filament, I have to admit. Let's go to packages. I want to see some optional. I might need to install ports actually. No, see if it's under experimental. So what's he saying to do? So how did you get to that point, mate? So I went to manage packages. I went to experimental. He's scrolling down to Steam Link. Yes, I did that. Okay, so I did that. So I'm not getting a ports menu. That's what the problem is. Maybe I need to reboot my Pi. Let's try the old reboot, shall we? Screaming Foxy's back, is it? Nice. It might need you to reboot to redetect all these emulators. I vaguely remember that being a thing. What did he do after that? Did he literally reboot anything? Yeah, see, it's picking up. Does it come up with ports? Yes, I did see ports briefly then. There we go. Okay, so that's why that wasn't working. You had to install it, and then you had to call ports. And there's Steam Link. That's what I wanted. Is it okay to just unpower Pi? No, not really. I should shut it down properly. Um, I really have no excuse for doing that. I was just being lazy. Yeah, it's just quicker. And to be honest, if I messed up the install, I'll just reflash the card again. It would only be data that's ruined. It wouldn't be the card itself that takes any damage. At least not as far as I'm aware. Laziness is an excuse, yes. So you can see it's going through the installation process now, which is interesting. Additional space will be used. Yes, please. Use all the space you need. One of the things I like to do when I'm going to make a TikTok video for this is start off by showing Skyrim running on a Raspberry Pi. It makes everyone excited. They're all like, "Oh my gosh, how did you do that?" Then it's just like Steam Link. How do you think I did it? That's the motto of my boss hates. That's the motto my boss hates. See, laziness struck again then. I had a message on screen. I did not take the time to read it. I probably should have. Welcome to Steam. Steam games on your computer with Steam. Get started. Scanning for computers running Steam. Right, I should probably run Steam then, shouldn't I? So let's bring Steam up on my machine. I wish this thing would stop flashing. There we go. Stop it. Stop it. So we have Steam running now, so I'm going to try rescanning. Sounds like my print just finished. There we go. There's my computer. Uh, okay, so I thought I did type it in. Okay, that's better. I was typing wrong. Testing connection speed. So it tops out around 25, does it? Network test complete. Successful up to 20 megabits. That's not bad. So Xbox Classic and doesn't say slow connection. Primary connection. Primary. Same as your banking pin. Yes, yes, absolutely. I just showed everyone my banking pin. Nice. Okay. So we now have. Let's try a bit of Kakarot, shall we? Oh, that sound. It's a little bit artifacty, but it's usable. There is a slight delay. Now, bear in mind, you should really be using this with Ethernet. My eyes is so bright. Curse you, OLED. I like Xenoverse, but I just finished playing through Kakarot. So I just finished all the storylines. I can game with an up to 50 milliseconds delay. I don't know what my limit is. I've never tested it. But I tend to be fairly forgiving. Oh, that feels fine. See, I've got my computer screen right next to me showing me the same graphics. And I'm not seeing any delay input there. That's fine. I say it's a little bit artifacty.
Best to deal with this now. I'm pumped up and ready to go.
Don't remember the control. This is perfectly fine.
My power.
It's not on balance, it sounds fine. So that's down to my terrible monitors. I'm using this. This is a Rousey Point 3.
You should train some more.
There you go.
Try this.
So you're getting terrible audio because of my streaming setup. I'll just turn the volume down on this. In person, it sounds pretty reasonable. But that was pretty stable. It's a pretty fast-paced game, Dragon Ball, and I have to admit, apart from a little bit of artifacting on the screen,
might cause some trouble later. Best to deal with this now.
It's fine.
I'm pumped up and ready to go. Whoa! train some more.
Right, so you're quite compared to the game. So shout and grow hair is all I'm seeing. It's not quite that simple. There are different transformations and that kind of stuff, but it's a fun game. I'm a fan of Dragon Ball, so. But yeah, anyway, this is streaming on my Raspberry Pi, so it's quite cool that I can get Steam Link working. It was a relatively painless setup once I remembered what I was doing and worked out the bits I've forgotten. But yeah, I mean, right now this Pi is probably working with 1 amp, so it's not even running at full power, because I don't have a proper power bank. I just use one of my 2 amp wall watt chargers, which he doesn't seem to like very much. But other than that, this seems to be working great. So I didn't notice any delays. I didn't notice any lag when I was playing. They are so loud, they are speakers.
Right. What should I do now?
I'll come out of this one. Yeah, I say I'm comparing my screen with the Raspberry Pi right next to me, and I can't see any delay at all. Yeah, that's fine. I need to quit now. Well, this does use Wi-Fi AX, so it's pretty good on Wi-Fi. So there you go, we got Steam Link running on a Raspberry Pi, so that's quite fun. 28 pound machine running Steam Link, and of course you can run retro games as well. Oh, that's good. It looks like I can rejoin the live on this. Yep, okay. So tip, don't shut down the computer you're streaming from. But yeah. Oh dear, that was silly. Hello friend, what software do you use with the 3D printer? I just use Flash Print, which comes with the 3D printer. It's got all the profiles and things pre-configured, so... I need to fix this camera. Oh, there's settings for it. No. Adjustment. Ah, there we go. Let's try that. I disabled exposure change. Testing 1, 2. It said no sound detected, and it was lying. Okay, guys, I think everyone pretty much left when I screwed up the shutdown of my machine, so I'm just going to call it a night here. Sorry again, everyone. Have a great Christmas, and thank you for joining me this evening.